All right, Penn State loses 20-12 to Ohio State in Columbus. For those of you who are keeping tabs on my Twitter, you saw that I was in the gambling cave watching this game on the live stream for the Barstool Gambling YouTube page. And yeah, I was just losing my mind on camera because this game was so frustrating, so aggravating, so disappointing, flat out. It really is. You could make the case, and we'll get more into it, the worst loss of the James Franklin era. And in a way, you hate to admit it, but looking back in hindsight, it was kind of predictable. You believed that this year would be different. You believed that this was the time to change the narrative. You believed that we'd be able to have a coherent, solid offensive game plan because we've essentially been preparing for this game for 3 weeks. Nope. And above all, you believed that you could go toe to toe with the top dogs in the conference. And when it came down to it in the fourth quarter of a one possession game, you could make the plays necessary to win that game. No. And it sucks because I'm not so sure. And Franklin, I mean, my God, he makes it even worse in the post-game press conference. I just saw this before I started recording. What did he say? I'm not sure that those aren't two of the best teams in college football. You cannot be saying that, dude, after your offense just laid that goose egg. I mean, and when I say goose egg, not actually the score, clearly, but it was a dud of a performance offensively. And for the record, it's not on the players. We'll get into that. That is 100% coaching. And you can't get up on a podium and then say, oh, yeah, we're one of the two best teams in the country, or not ruling it out. Shut up. You can't be doing that. We'll talk about Franklin. There are so many things we'll get to, and I keep saying that, oh, we'll get to it, but we will get to it. What really stinks about this game is the fact that I don't think there was that much of a talent gap between us and Ohio State. Still, I don't think that's the case. I've been saying that this entire year. I've been saying that this is the weakest Ohio State has been. I don't know. You'd have to go back a pretty decent amount of time, I think. I still believe that after this game. I believe that Ohio State is going to get wiped by Michigan, and therefore we're going to get wiped by Michigan too. And you needed to win this game because of the tougher matchup against Michigan later down the road. And this was a matchup that was very favorable for us. The talent gap is marginal. You know, you look at the big performers of the day. Clearly, it's Marvin Harrison Jr., who is an elite receiver. And we don't have anybody who's close to matching his star power and his playmaking ability. We got nobody. He is a difference maker, and he will be a difference maker in any single game they play this year. If they're going up against Georgia, if they're going up against Texas, they're playing any of these teams, he will be a difference maker. We don't have anybody like that. Also, Stover, a tight end, I do want to point out, had a great game, and I would also label him as a difference maker in this one. But outside of that, Kyle McCord, part of the reason his numbers were so good was because he had Marvin Harrison Jr. Wide open at many times. And Marvin Harrison Jr. was able to just run for all these yards after the catch in space and really inflate those numbers for McCord, but only had one touchdown on the day, McCord, that is. And it wasn't like he was doing anything exceptional. Like, he was fine. He managed the game. He didn't turn the ball over. But you wouldn't say, damn, Kyle McCord had an awesome game today. Like, I wouldn't say that. The running backs from Ohio State certainly didn't have an awesome game. Granted, they didn't have Henderson, but I think they had 1.9 yards a carry in this one. Like, we shut them down. We had an awesome performance defensively, aside from, allowing Marvin Harrison to get a little more than maybe we should have allowed. And then I guess you could say, okay, well, we didn't force a turnover. That could be a way where we could have played better. But technically we did, with the Curtis Jacobs forced fumble, and then picking it up, scooping it, and running for a touchdown that got called back. But yeah, I mean, like, that's really the only two knocks that you could make against this defense. I thought they played a spectacular game. And I thought we had playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, whereas Ohio State really didn't. I think defensively, we outplayed Ohio State. And I think offensively, Ohio State wasn't all that impressive. There was blood in the water before this game. You could sense, Ohio State is up there, and obviously they're the number 3 team in the country. They are an elite team this year, but they're beatable. They're very beatable. And we just couldn't do anything. And again, I think it's coaching. I think it's coaching that was the reason why we're not doing anything in these big games. Not necessarily, the other team is shutting us down. which, yeah, that's a bummer because you do get the sense that this team is being held back a lot, and they have the talent, and they can now compete with the Ohio States and the Michigans, and it's not formulating on the field because the game plan is horrific. The adjustments are non-existent, and yeah, we're just not putting our players in the best positions to win. That's the bare bones, brass tacks of it all. Which I guess we'll just get into Franklin right now. I said in the preseason, in my preseason preview, you could go back and watch it. I love James Franklin. He has done wonders for this program. He's elevated it and really created such a strong foundation when you were coming straight out of the sanctions, not even straight out of the sanctions. He got there in the middle of the sanctions. He's been able to turn us into a relevant program again on the national scale. And the New Year's Six Bowls are great. And I know people get tired of them and they're like, oh, well, we shouldn't be going 10-2. I can live with 10-2, or at least I could in previous years, because I understood, like, yeah, there's a lot going on right here that people don't process. There is still stuff that needs to be done in order to get to where we want to be. And whether it was not getting enough coordination with the athletic director and the university president and getting the green lights on stuff that would move us further down the path. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the fact that we still are behind in recruiting and we got to make our way up there. Like, I could give them passes. There's a bunch of other stuff that factored into it. But I realized, yeah, we're not at the stage of an Ohio State or a Michigan right now. We're still moving along the path. We'll get there eventually. Well, we're there now. We're there. There is no longer any more excuses. Pat Kraft is greenlighting everything. Neely Bendapudi is super supportive of football. The facilities are improving. The recruiting classes, we've stacked up multiple in the past couple of years that are unbelievable. We have one of the best recruits in the history of the program, if not the biggest recruit, in Drew Aller. We have all of it now. Players, the facilities. We have the approval and support of administration and the board of trustees. And we have a vibe now. We have the best coaching staff we've ever had. The vibe around this program is everything that you've been trying to get to for years. This is now put up or shut up time, and you didn't put up today. Not at all. We're not even close to putting up. It was such a horrific game for so many reasons. And now, I said in the preseason, if we didn't win against Ohio State or if we didn't win against Michigan and we wound up getting 10-2 or going 10-2 again, I would have to look at James Franklin differently. I look at him differently now. They were flashing all these numbers in the pregame. You know, oh, he's 1-8 against Ohio State. He's 0 and whatever in top 10 games on the road, or, you know, whatever the case is. It's, 58 degrees and cloudy outside. He's 0, but like all of that. They were throwing all of it. And we've been seeing it for years, and we have been waiting for him to change the narrative. Today was the opportunity to do it. It's the weakest Ohio State has been. As I said, you have the roster, you have the coaching staff. Everything has been building up to this, and you did that, which was nothing. You did nothing today. And the thing is, like, you could live with a loss. I could, at least. I said it was a must win, but I could live with it if it was a back and forth type of game, haymakers being thrown, just incredible football, both sides of the ball, offense is clicking, defense is clicking, and it's just two great teams going at it. That's not at all what today was. There's nothing to build off of from this game offensively. Nothing. As I said, defense, phenomenal. Offensively, there's zero hope that we could go into Michigan, or not go into Michigan, go into the Michigan game and have any type of success. I have no reason to believe that at the moment. And yeah, you had Ohio State right for the taking. You could have just won the game for the first time in however many years, 6 years, 7 years. We could have won the game today, and you could have changed the narrative about everything. Nope. And listen, there's only so many more years you could keep losing these big games until those recruits aren't going to be coming around anymore. Those transfers aren't going to be coming around anymore. All of a sudden, You might not have as much support from the university, board of trustees. You got to win these games. And I've given him passes for a long time. I'm done giving passes. This is all on him. It's all on Yurcich. This had nothing to do with the players. Everybody wants to point the finger at Drew Aller, and people I've seen online saying, oh, Drew Aller sucks. He's saying himself that he sucked. Yeah, he did not have a good game, obviously. But the game plan was horrible. The play calling was horrible. The wide receivers weren't creating any separation. We know wide receivers, yeah, we're not that strong there. We still have not been able to develop a solid, not even just a wide receiver 3, a wide receiver 2. We haven't been able to establish anybody. And Keandre Lambert-Smith, I don't think he's that guy. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1, or at least he shouldn't be on any team. And the fact that he's our best option and we still haven't been able to find that second guy, I guess Trey Wallace, but he was non-existent today. So all of it combined, the coaches know this is where we're at. They know our limitations. They know our weaknesses. And yet they didn't do anything. They just accepted, this is our offense. We don't have explosive plays, which I was coming into this game saying, oh, it's not a problem as long as we're controlling time of possession. It was a major problem today that we didn't have any explosiveness. But we don't have any explosive plays. Wide receivers, we really haven't been able to develop anybody into that wide receiver 3. As I just said, they haven't been able to develop anybody into the wide receiver 2 spot. And the running backs are struggling, but this is what we are. We've been able to do, what we've been able to do. We're 6-0 and it's working. We're just going to go into this game like that. And then when it didn't work today, well, what do you do? Are there any plans to change it? Are we going to mix anything up? Are we going to be utilizing packages that maybe we haven't shown on tape yet? Because we've had 6 games where we've been able to win in this. We've been able to win in this bland, basic play calling, this bland offense that really hasn't done anything super special. Okay, could we at least add a wrinkle in and catch Ohio State off guard? We've been so basic and vanilla in our offense. I thought it was because we were going to be holding off until we got to the big games down the road to really reveal stuff and show stuff. For example, I thought that Bo Perbula was going to get into this game on several occasions today, not to throw the football, but to act as a runner or to act as a Tommy Stevens or a Will Levis type of role where we're utilizing him in the lion package or whatever. I was waiting for something to happen like that. There was nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, we really are just this bland, basic, vanilla offense that is not conducive to get the most out of Drew Aller. He's such a talented player. He's got a rocket of an arm. He's smart with the football. He can make laser throws. Was he able to do any of that today? No. Oh, and for the record, another thing in there, I mentioned the coaching was a problem with the play calling. I thought the play calling was horrendous. The wide receivers are an issue. The offensive line, best offensive line that we've ever had under Franklin, they were still getting pushed around today. They were. And Drew Aller, it was very rare for him to have an entirely clean pocket to throw the football. So I don't know how you can watch this game and say, oh yeah, Drew sucks. So much for Drew being, best recruiting program history. No, I looked at it the exact opposite way. Yeah, there were things that Drew could have done better, but how are the coaches not recognizing, oh yeah, we're really not doing a great job of protecting them. Oh yeah, our wide receivers really aren't creating a whole lot of separation. Oh yeah, we're pretty predictable in our play calling right now. Maybe we should throw a wrinkle in there. Maybe we should do something different. I mean, they did none of that. Actually, I take that back. They had 2 trick plays, both of which, by the way, we had already seen. We'd already seen Keandre Lambert-Smith throw a pass. We've already seen a lot of I don't get it at all. You had 3 weeks to prepare for this game. And we came out and just accepted, yeah, this is who we are. And if Ohio State stops it, oh, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I feel terrible for Drew. Terrible for him. This guy, and again, going back to Yurcich, if Drew Aller was in the Mike Yurcich offense at Oklahoma State, his numbers would be through the roof. Through the roof. Doesn't have it here. We're not throwing the ball downfield at all. Not even giving our receivers the chance to at least draw like a pass interference or something. The one time we did do it today, to Keandre Lambert-Smith down the sideline. I did think it was a pass interference, and I did think we should have gotten a 15-yard penalty. We're just not giving them any opportunity. We're doing this, dink and dunk constantly, and it's just not working against elite talent in Ohio State, against an elite defense. Because that's one thing, I've been saying a lot, this is on us. Ohio State, their defense statistically is up there with us. And when you look at how well they performed this year. So I do want to give them credit. It's not all like, oh yeah, we sucked. The defense from Ohio State was good, but we should have had such a better game plan. And you pretty much knew what we were in for. That 3rd and 1 early, I guess it was in the first quarter, the 3rd and 1 where we just passed the ball and it was an incomplete pass. And we decided, oh, well, yeah, damn, we didn't get it. Let's just punt it away. What? What are we doing? And at that point, too, we didn't have a single play running the football that went for negative yardage. Not a single play. Or a running back started off really solid. And we were just like, yeah, we're going to take it out of their hands. We're going to let Drew, try and make this contested throw. And, if we don't pick it up, then we'll just punt it. On 3rd and 1? You wonder why our 3rd down percentage was so bad today. What were we, 1 of 16? It was because of bonehead play calling like that. I tweeted, I was like, I can't believe we just did that. We passed the ball on 3rd and 1 and then gave up when we didn't get it. What the hell was that? When they passed it, I was like, okay, well, that probably means they're going to go for it on 4th. Nope, no, we're just going to give it back to Ohio State. Oh, okay. Also, Nick Singleton, for once, actually got going a little bit in this game. He was able to reel off a couple long runs, and instead of riding that momentum, again, we take the ball out of his hands. And we say, okay, thanks, Nick. You got us down here close to the red zone, but we're going to take it from here. We're going to have Drew, again, throw these contested passes to wide receivers who just aren't open, who are creating zero separation because they're not elite receivers. And, we're just going to forget about you. How does that happen? How does that happen at all? We've been waiting for these running backs to come onto the scene and really have a burst and utilize their explosiveness. And we finally got it today. And we just completely ignore them after that. In total, K-Tron had 9 carries. Nick Singleton had 9 carries. What are we doing? What are we doing? How do those two guys combined only have the ball 18 times? It's just absurd. I couldn't believe it. Mike Yurcich, by far his worst game. By far his worst game. And that's partially on Franklin for not getting on the headset or not inputting or anything, saying, hey, we should probably run the football a little bit more from somebody for years who was adamant on running the football to the point where it got frustrating on the opposite end of the spectrum where it was like, dude, running the football is not working. Stop running the football. I remember back to 2021 in that Michigan State game, we were literally facing the worst passing defense in the country, and we would not throw the football. We wanted to run it nonstop. So for today to be the exact opposite, where throwing the football isn't working, let's at least get something going on the run game a little bit. Maybe that'll help the pass game down the line. We wouldn't run the football. Nick Singleton and K-Tron Allen only have 9 carries each. It was absurd. I couldn't believe what I was watching. So you pretty much knew early on, oh yeah, there's no game plan. There's no game plan. And I was waiting for something. I keep doing that. Waiting. That's what this game was. I was waiting for something to happen where we had a wrinkle or we utilized Bo Perbula maybe. Not necessarily to throw the football, but towards the end of the game, probably would have made sense, honestly. Just, to give a different look because it was clear that Drew Aller it was not working with him. And part of that, going back to how we should be utilizing Drew and his skill set, we need to recognize, he's not a mobile quarterback. So if he is not able to throw the football at a high clip and convert and pick up first downs through the air, we're screwed. It's not like he's going to be Trace McSorley. Oh, yeah, there's nothing downfield. I'm going to take off and run with it. No, he's going to stay back there in the pocket. And if there's nothing open, then, we can't do anything. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a knock on him because the coaching staff should know he's not mobile. They should know he's not mobile. They should know our wide receivers aren't good at creating separation. They should know our offensive line is getting pushed around in this game. There's not much I guess you could do as a coach, but at least try and make some tweaks, make some adjustments. And there was none of it. None of it. This is the worst loss of the Franklin era because this is totally on coaching. I think the players came to play. I think Aller came to play, even though the stats don't necessarily indicate it. I think the running backs came to play. They were not given enough touches at all. Wide receivers I won't even get into. But the entire defense, they came to play. Also, special teams, dude. Alex Felkins had 2 huge field goals for us, and that was a major concern coming into this one. I was like, oh, yeah, we really haven't seen Felkins a whole lot recently. I don't know if he's going to be able in a big game like this to be able to come in and kick a couple clutch field goals. He did. Like, I thought the players played a solid game. It was just a terrible, terrible game plan. And it goes back to Franklin and Yurcich, who, yeah, I looked at both of them very differently now. And the only other game that's similar to this, I would say, is the Michigan game last year. But at least with that Michigan game, you could kind of shake it off because you're like, oh, well, yeah, they didn't have a good game plan at all. They didn't make any tweaks. But Michigan, better team, matchup-wise, we did not match up with them well. But here, we matched up with Ohio State perfectly. And we, for whatever reason, just ran out this same basic, bland, conventional, conservative, just completely predictable offense that Ohio State had no problem with whatsoever. We were not forcing the issue. We didn't do anything differently to throw stuff at them. No, we just accepted, yeah, I think this is our offense, and if it doesn't work, well, tough luck. Reminds me a lot of 2017 when Saquon, I guess it was 7 games through the season, the last 5 games of that season, opposing defenses just sold out on him. And they were like, yeah, but we're not letting this guy beat us. Because at that point in the season, Saquon Barkley had the Heisman on lock. And Franklin, instead of trying to think of creative ways to get Saquon Barkley back into the game, because he was your best player and he was by far your most elite playmaker, Franklin just said, yeah, well, defenses are going to stop Saquon. We just got to accept that. No, what are you talking about? Here, it was like, yeah, our offense isn't that great. Really nothing that we could do about it. What? Just, I mean, terrible. You know your limitations. You know after hours and hours of tape where maybe you can improve or maybe you could avoid utilizing some players. That was another thing, too. There was one point in the game. We had Tyler Warren lined up against Tuamalo of Ohio State. And then the person, once Tyler Warren whiffed on blocking him, the person who came in to block afterwards to try and pick up the slack was Theo Johnson. So we had 2 tight ends trying to block Tuamalo, somebody who just burned us entirely last year. How does that make any sense in the world? We did not utilize our talent at all. We have limitations. We have I wouldn't even call them weaknesses, limitations. I'll just stick with that. We have parts of our offense that could be better, put it that way. But you could at least try and figure out ways to skirt around that and, think of better ways to get playmakers the ball if some ways aren't working, and try and think of a way to utilize Aller. We did none of it. It was just so uncreative. And, so accepting that, yeah, we suck right now. And it couldn't get out of it, couldn't get out of the funk. So I definitely don't think it's on Drew. I definitely don't think any of the players should be blamed for this loss. Blame it on coaching entirely. It's the same thing every single year. I'm willing to admit that now. And there's no shot this team is beating Michigan. Based off of that performance, there's zero reason to believe that they could beat Michigan, even though that game is at home. And we're now looking at 10-2 again, which I said coming into this year, we go 10-2, we're going to have problems. We're going to have serious, serious problems, because no matter how much we improve on paper, no matter how much we improve in our roster, no matter how much we improve as an overall program, no matter how much hype is garnered around this team, it doesn't pay off. And we wind up in the same flat circle that we've been in consistently over the past however many years, where, yeah, we look great against every other team against Ohio State and Michigan. And Franklin, I'm now willing to admit, just can't win these big games. Sucks. Let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to talk about. But that's pretty much it. Um, I was baffled by how terrible the coaching was in this game. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna end it there. I don't know how long I've been going for, but I know it's much longer than I anticipated. So I will end it. Penn State 20-12. Not many plays you could point to in this one where it's like, oh, if that had went differently, oh, you never know. No, it was just crap all around. And I credit the defense. I credit Manny Diaz. They played spectacular. I credit the effort from everyone on offense. But Franklin, Yurcich, their worst showing ever. It's not, losing to Illinois in 9 overtimes. It's not the COVID year where we're losing to teams we just flat out shouldn't have lost to. It is, yes, the number 3 team in the country in the horseshoe. So you can excuse it, but you can't. You can't. This is the worst loss because this was the real opportunity. It wasn't going to get more perfect than this with how easy the schedule was leading up to this, how rested we were, how healthy we were, how we should have had a great game plan coming into this. You cannot excuse this loss. It is the worst loss of the Franklin era because of everything that was on the line. This could have changed the program entirely. And instead, we wind up in a situation where there's no reason to believe that we're any different than we were last year. No reason to believe we're any different than we were back in 2019 or 2018 or 2017. Like, there's been zero improvement. Maybe in the roster there has been, maybe in the facilities, maybe in all that other stuff. But on the field on Saturday, when we go up against Ohio State and Michigan, there has been zero improvement. And we just haven't learned. We have not learned at all from last year's game, from what's been on tape, from what we've shown throughout the course of this year. We haven't learned a goddamn thing. And that's coaching. That's 100% coaching. So I look at James Franklin differently after this game. I look at Yurcich way worse. And it's going to be tough moving on from this because it sucks right now. But we got Indiana next week, and I think that'll be a win. And then we'll see how exactly we fare against a very good Maryland team and then Michigan down the line. Not confident at all, but hey, I'll still be repping the blue and white. I'll still be watching every single game with the same intensity, and we'll see where we go from here. But until then, again, 20-12. Appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to my rant and my overall thoughts on this game. I hope to see you soon. This has been Connor Griffin signing off. We are. God, I'm in such pain. I'm just going to hang this up right now. Bye.